Hi you guys, it's Amanda with Healthy House on the Block, and I'm here with another weekly video and tip on creating an indoor space that truly supports your health and your wellness. This week's video is about that little label that you see everywhere, the Proposition 65 warning, and we're going to talk about what it is, what is covered under it, but I will be honest with you, a lot of times the clients that I work with in creating a healthier space want to know, do I even need to pay attention to this warning? Because it seems like it's on every single thing that I'm trying to buy. And the truth is, I've had these feelings myself. If it's everywhere, do we really need to pay attention to it? It becomes a little bit of a boy cried wolf situation where we get a little desensitized to this label. But what I'm going to share with you today is that there are ways you can use this as a guide and as a tool to make different decisions as you are purchasing things for your home. I will say it is not the end-all be-all, but there are some really good, useful things that this label can be used for.
So I don't know if you are like me, but if you've ever been shopping, does it feel like everything you are looking at contains the Proposition 65 warning label? When I first started seeing it, I had to look up what it was because I was seeing it everywhere. It got to a point that I think I actually kind of started ignoring it, assuming that literally everything I saw was probably going to have that label on it. And I don't think that I'm alone in this. I'm guessing that you've probably felt the same way if you've ever paid attention to it. And maybe you've become like me, a little bit desensitized to its effectiveness. What started off as an act to protect drinking water has transformed into one of the most confusing and overused labels to date. But if used the right way, it can actually be a really handy tool when you are shopping for new items or new products for your home. After all, you really want to avoid as many toxins as possible, and this Prop 65 label really can be helpful to do just that. Of course, there are a few caveats that come with that, and we will explore that in this video, but I think that you can learn to use it in your favor with some of the guidance that I'm going to give you. So again, it can feel like this warning is everywhere, and the more we see it, the more desensitized we really are to it. But the truth is that yes, it can be beneficial when you are shopping or choosing items for your home, and so it is worthwhile to pay attention to. I mean, why not avoid as many toxins as you can if you can do it easily? If you were choosing between two food storage containers and one had the Prop 65 warning and one did not, wouldn't it make the choice a lot easier? While I don't think it's necessarily the end-all, be-all of labels, it can be helpful as a guide when used the right way. I think it's also very important to remember that it is not just products with the Prop 65 warning label that can be harmful. Our own choice of lifestyle can be harmful, and so you must take all of these things into consideration when you're really looking at this. So there are hundreds of toxins and chemicals that are included in the Prop 65 warning, and they are toxins that potentially can cause cancer, birth defects, or other reproductive harm. The range of toxins that have been included in the Prop 65 warning is vast and it is long. The main categories of toxins are pesticides, synthetic chemicals, heavy metals, solvents, and byproducts of a chemical process. I have linked their long list for you in this week's blog post if you care to look at that. You'll also want to know what products are covered under the Prop 65 warning. And again, it's going to be a lot of them. This is just a list of most of them. There are other ones, including locations that are in California and food. So really take this into consideration when you're looking at your products. While most companies do have to comply with this warning in order to do business in the state of California, businesses with fewer than 10 employees are actually exempt, which can make this, again, a little bit confusing. So I want you to really remember that None of us have a completely toxin-free home, myself included. And that is okay, because there are some things I want you to remember when it comes to this Prop 65 label. So there are some gray areas. One of the biggest things that I have uncovered for myself as I've researched Prop 65 warnings for my clients and home buyers is that sometimes the warning is for components or toxins that are never exposed to you while using the product properly. So a perfect example of this is appliances. Most appliances carry the Prop 65 California warning. This is because the interior of the product may contain things like lead or other heavy metal materials that are necessary for the product to work properly. While they're present in the appliance, they're not actually exposed to you while you use the appliance properly. But if you were to use the product in a way that was maybe taking it apart completely or using it in an improper application, you could potentially be exposed. So this is just a caveat to keep in mind. Stress is harmful too, and the truth is that we are exposed to toxins and chemicals all day long, every day. The goal of a healthy home is to just reduce toxins enough that your body can safely detox what you do come in contact with. I will say that the goal is never to have a totally toxin-free home, because this doesn't actually exist. I beg you, don't stress out if you have products that have the Prop 65 warning label on them. You can still have a low toxin space and a lifestyle that is low toxin when you come in contact with these items. One thing you can do is use the materials and products smarter. So increase your airflow around your home. Get fresh air in. Wash your hands before eating or after use of the material, and use a really good air purifier in your space. The other thing I want you to remember is to just do your best. Don't beat yourself up over past purchases. Instead, do better moving forward. The idea is when you know better, you do better. We all have past purchases that we cringe at, and even if those purchases were just last week before you learned something new, it counts. Instead of focusing on these purchases that can potentially introduce toxins to your space, you should be focusing on how you can do this better next time. So do your research to choose products that don't carry the Prop 65 warning in the future. Again, just know better and do better. And the last thing is, awareness is half the battle. Most of the time, we don't make the right decision because we aren't even aware of the toxins that could potentially come in contact with our body. Toxins are all around us, and we've never been taught about toxins in school or when we're buying a home. Instead, we have to seek out this information constantly and educate ourselves on a regular basis about these toxins. So please know that if you are aware of even just a few toxins, you are in a better spot than most homeowners and their homes. Keep learning and continue to be aware of the potential toxins in your space, and you'll be doing yourself a favor. So you've heard me talk about this time and time again. There are 3 big ways that we're exposed to toxins, and that's the toxins in you, the toxins on you, and the toxins that surround you. So toxins that we come in contact with in all 3 ways are the most concerning because our system is bombarded due to exposure through skin, lungs, and gut. So the big items to pay attention to are the toxins that sit on your skin for long periods of time. These are the most concerning to our health and wellness. And this is anything from makeup to lotion to our clothing. So think about like your deodorant for a moment and just how long that sits on your skin and the length of time your body is exposed to any toxin that's in this deodorant. It's likely around 24 hours because we don't wash it off until the next time we shower. Another important item to pay attention to are the items that we sleep on and around. So no matter how you spin it, you're likely spending at least a third of your day in bed and in your bedroom. This length of time makes it an important area to pay attention to when it comes to toxins. Being exposed for long periods of time and in close proximity to these toxins doesn't give your body the rest or break it needs from chemicals. Instead, it's creating a situation where your body needs to detox these toxins constantly for long periods of time. And likely your body isn't detoxing everything it comes in contact with, which is when body burden becomes a real problem. And finally, the items that touch our food are very important. Materials that are toxic and also come in contact with food can leach chemicals and toxins directly into the food we're ingesting. So while the stomach does have enzymes that can break down some toxins, there is proof that not only does ingesting toxins negatively impact our overall health, but it wreaks havoc on the gut microbiome as well. Anything that stores your food, you eat off of, or you cook off of should be something that you're paying attention to in great detail. Unfortunately, so much of what we use has just become a habit, and many of us don't think twice about changing our food storage habits. So here's a guide on how to use the Proposition 65 label as you shop for products. I think the most important thing to remember is that this can be used as a guide. It should not be used as the only tool to make a decision. When an item carries this label, it can be difficult to know just how toxic the product actually is. We all know that there are varying levels of toxins and that large amounts are often more toxic than small amounts. It can also be challenging because you don't know which toxins are in the product or material that has this label. There are toxins that are more concerning than others, and so without knowing the exact chemicals or toxins present, you won't know how to rank various products or materials accordingly. That being said, the goal is to avoid as many toxins as possible. And so just know that by using a product or purchasing an item with this label, you are exposing yourself to toxins, whether unnecessary or not. So my best advice is to use this warning label as guidance for a place to start with your research, or when you have to choose between two similar products. So yes, it can seem like we've become a bit desensitized to the Proposition 65 warning label, but it can be a useful tool when used in the right way. Remember, the goal is to reduce toxins as much as possible, and it never is to create a totally toxin-free space, which is unattainable.
Thank you so much for being here. I hope you will subscribe to my channel because I am here every single week with a new topic and a new way to create a healthier home that truly supports your health and your